All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome. It's been a hot minute, right? It's been a while since I've done a video for YouTube. It's been, interesting to see people sort of show up to still subscribe to the channel. So thank you for subscribing. Thank you for your comments, your likes, the what have yous. And we're back. I'm going to try and do this more often. I can't promise because time is foreign to me. But I wanted to take you through the construction of this thing, right? This is an Islamic pattern, folded and then beveled. I call bevel the effect that you get like here, you know, this kind of a 3D-ness to it. Call that a bevel. I'm going to show you how to do it, and we're going to need for this, to get the full experience of this, I think this is actually a very cool thing to have and contemplate and look through, and you get the shadows of it if you get the nice light going. So I think this is great. It's an easy design to fold, and it's just, I think, pretty clear, straightforward, won't take much out of you, and it's fun, right? It looks pretty cool too. So what was I gonna say? Oh, there's also the possibility to click on it, so you get like these morphisms, right? Like these changes sort of brings out another aspect to the structure. So that's also pretty interesting. Oh yeah, you're gonna need some tape for this one. It is taped to get it to coerce, but you know, we're not purists here. We're not dogmatic. We're not purists. So I'm gonna take you through the steps. I'll try and be as clear and slow as possible. I will not use foul language as I've done before. I'm gonna try and keep it, PG, because it is YouTube after all, and it is origami more than anything. So with that out of the way, let's start this thing. So a lot of people ask, what paper should I use? Any paper. It's about, folding it. So whatever folds nice for you. I gotta work on the lighting. This seems too dark on the back, but I think, do I look yellow or green? Is it me? Is it the table? I don't know. But I think you can tell the fold, so that works pretty well. Screen is over here, paper is like in front of me. Doesn't matter. If you're in America, like the continent of America, not the United States, you're gonna have most likely what I have, which is letter size paper. If you're in Europe or any other part of the world, you're gonna have A4. Any of these work. All right, they don't have to have anything, but whatever. So we're gonna cut at it anyway, so that's why it doesn't matter. We're gonna start by folding this thing in half. We have it, right? That's half, H-A-L-V-E-S. We have it. We halves. Well, I think if we would this in the singular form, it would be H-A-L-V-E, half. Cut it in half. So now, once we have that, you can see that I've sort of went ahead and did it anyway. Wait, I gotta change some settings here because I can't see what I'm doing. The brightness of this thing is too low. And it was near 100%, so that's kind of interesting. So I do look green. Wow. Yeah, these. For a reason, it's the while that I have been doing this. All right, so then what you do is let me turn this over a little bit. There we go. So you're gonna take this edge, right, which is this one over here, and you're gonna make it land on the line, like so. When you do this fold, you have to make sure that the fold connects in a corner-like fashion to over here, you see? Like that. And then we're gonna use this reference here as what I call a shadow. Personally, I like to turn it over. It's pretty cold, this is why I'm wearing a little cap. I like to use a shadow, what I call a shadow, so, you could just do this, that works really well. That works just as well. But me personally, I like to turn it over and fold it like this, right? Like I fold the remainder of what's left of the fold, and then I put it onto the fold itself like that. You can tell from my eyes, because I am on the screen, that I look over at this, I look at the feedback of my video recording, and I'm also looking at my hands. It's easier for me to fold if I'm looking at in front of me, but I also have to make sure that I'm in frame and whatnot. So this effectively folds an equilateral triangle. For the tetrahedron, which is this thing, we're gonna need just this triangle, so we're gonna have to cut at this triangle. So these folds that I've done are gonna have to be cut away. So what I like to do to cut, I don't like to, at least for the structure of the pattern itself, I don't like to use scissors or knives to cut. I simply weaken the fiber of the paper by folding, and again, like this requires the paper to be fibrous enough that you can weaken it by folding. Right? So you can see how little by little I'm sort of traveling along the path of least resistance. You see that? Ain't that nice? So we cut out the next one. Easy does it. Easy does it. If you have these little bits like I do, like you can tell there on the screen, you can, well, you can, but a little bit like that. That little thing, you can just comb it back. It doesn't have to be perfect. You know what you need? You need to be satisfied. You don't need to be perfected. What does that mean? It means that if you feel that you can work with it, then that's good enough. This isn't rocket science, and this isn't architecture. Lives are not dependent on you getting it perfect. So if it helps you move on, then that's the way to go. All right, so I have my triangle here, and this is where we're gonna do the pattern. We're gonna do all the work, etc., whatnot. It's a beautiful day, by the way. It's very great. It's raining, which is nice. I like the rain. But here's the structure. It's pretty easy to get the net for the tetrahedron, right? So we're gonna just fold this, and we just fold the other corner to where the fold met. You see that? It does another equilateral triangle there, and we repeat this over here. And boom, right? This is the tetrahedral net, right? It'll make a tetrahedron, a four-faced pyramid made up of equilateral triangles, the most basic three-dimensional shape, and the net is automatic to the folding of the equilateral triangle, especially the origami construction that we've used, right? Because it already includes one of these halves. So that solves the matter of the structure that we're going to get, right? So the idea is going to be to put Scotch tape at the edges, like here, and we're also going to put some Scotch tape on these, and they're going to join, and the shape will be, conformed that way. But before we do that, I have to show you the trickery, like what is the pattern that we're going to get to fold, like how to get that folding pattern into it. I'm going to take one of the excess strips, this piece of paper here, and I'm going to fold this down, and you're going to see that again, like the shadow of it, like this thing where the fold is going to help guide me. It's not going to help guide me, it's going to guide me. That should be the proper way to say it. I have here a little thing that, whoops, it makes me zoom. The video quality is not the best, it's pretty grainy. It's an old webcam. I've had this webcam since 2019 or 2018. I think it does the job pretty well, but it's been a while, and one thing after another, you guys. It's one thing after another. If you let things slide for a long enough period of time, they will worsen. So my advice to anybody is don't let up. Don't, slow progress is progress. Like don't be dissuaded. Okay, so I have here a little equilateral triangle. It's almost like pretty much equilateral. There's some bits that are missing, some bits are excess, but it doesn't matter because it's about intent. So I'm going to show you how to get the pattern out of this little equilateral triangle. Here's how you do it. First off, we're going to need what's called the preliminary folds, right? So we're going to have to fold the radial lines. When a polygon is odd-sided, the preliminary folds will exchange values, or states as I call them, after the center. So what that means is that when I fold all three of these, so I have to fold all vertices to touch each other. You can see that I'm doing that. I'm sort of folding that one to there. This one folded this one over here, you see. So naturally the one I'm missing is this one. There's a fly right next to me. It's my little friend. I'm going to pet it. I'm going to try and pet it. It flew away. I just wanted to give a little pet to the little fly that was in my desk, but it was not to be. It was not to be. A little sun is coming in. I can see that the lighting is changing around. This automatic lighting shit is sorry. This automatic lighting stuff is not conducive for etceteras. Anyway, what I meant by the preliminary fold changing states after the center is this little phenomenon that if I wanted to collapse it around the symmetries, because it's an odd-sided symmetry, it's going to go like mountain, center, and change. You see that? It goes from mountain and then changes into a valley, if you see it the other way around. And this allows for this collapse. Preliminary collapses come in two forms. One with these two triangles, if you will. Looks more triangular, one of these collapses. And the other one always looks like a kite, kind of like this. And what's happening is that we get the right triangles of a polygon to sort of either work with the height or work with the hypotenuse of it, right? Or rather, it would be the base. So these triangles are conjoined here by base, and they're there. Now that's where you get them. And if I popped it the other way, then they're joined to the hypotenuse. You see that? All right, all well and good. We have a nice little equilateral triangle going. So let's keep it going. Here's the next step. We're gonna fold this thing like a paper plane. If you ever folded a paper plane before, you should know, or you're familiar with this design of paper planes, where you simply bisect folds along, yeah, just to make it pointy, right? Like this by itself almost kind of looks like a paper plane, you see. And what we're effectively doing by this fold is getting a 12-fold division, right? But anyway, so I'm going to repeat this bisection of the equilateral triangle angles on all of the edges, right? On all of the corners. So I'm going to do it for the next one as well. There goes one. Here goes the other. I unfold. I repeat on the next one. All well and good, right? And now we get this. For the following, we are going to need to get a little reference thing down. So what I mean by that is we're going to have to mark some points. We're going to mark this point, and this point. And if you can't see which points of these it is, it's the one that goes from the 12-fold division and hits on the radial, that one. You can also see that it's intersecting with the other division like that, yeah. And it works the same for all of them. That one goes here, goes to that point, you see. I'm using this little trick where you use the valley fold as a sort of a ruler. It's really nice to draw straight lines. It gives you nice practice, gets you a feel for drawing a straight line, right? Those are the 3 points that I wanted to mark. These 3 intersections. Following step, pretty simple. You're simply going to take this point and fold it onto that point over here. That one. So we lift and we fold and we fold. You can see that it's sort of bulging out. It depends upon you how you do this, but now you repeat the process over here as well. 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, all well and good. Next, this is pretty simple. We are simply going to take the corner of the triangle and put it on the point that we got, the one that moved. You know, we were moving the midpoint of the edge of this triangle. This is the one that was moving towards this one, but now I would say that this is what I refer to this point as a landing site, and this is sort of what's moving, right? This is what's falling onto the landing sites. But now this point will become a landing site itself, and what's falling onto it is the vertices. So again, pretty natural stuff. Whoop. You see, so I just put the vertice on the midpoint, and then I just fold it. And naturally, the fold is going to hit at the other midpoint over here. That should be what's happening. So I unfold, and I go the other way. Same thing, and I repeat. I unfold, I put the vertice on the midpoint. I unfold, go to the other one. Unfold, go to the other one. Unfold, go to the other one, and unfold. And the better you do it, the more you're going to notice that it's really quite intimate with the relationship that we're sort of trying to extract from this thing. I'm going to turn it over so that I can draw where there aren't any lines, I should use a sharper marker. This one is dull and sort of bleeding. This is not good. But I'm not gonna stand up because I need to do this in one take, so I'm just gonna roll with the punches. Wow, I kind of want to lick it, but it's toxic, so I won't. And if you ever have a, yeah, this is me giving, wow, this marker is pretty bad. Should have tested it before. Well, live and learn, you guys, live and learn. So you're gonna see how the lines that we got from the first reference are drawn fully, completely, but the other ones stop at the midpoint. And not the midpoint, I mean, it's not the midpoint of that fold, but it is where the lines are intersecting, and it just so happens to land exactly at the middle of this 6-fold division. And effectively, we are drawing a hexagon, right? Can you tell that a little hexagon is getting drawn? I'm not gonna use the trick here. Wow, this is a very, very ugly marker. I'm not gonna use it anymore. Goodbye, you marker. And that's the pattern. Like, that's it. This is the pattern. And then what we do next is sort of the weave of it, right? So what I like to do here is, well, start from the center of this triangle and sort of draw a little bit of a, it's like a little shape of it. And then I sort of, you know, by eye, sort of get a feel for how much the distance is between the little triangle that I drew and the pattern line, which is this black, thick, very poorly drawn marker line there. And I draw another line that's sort of seemingly separate, like the same distance sort of approximately. I just draw that inside of there, and then I try to respect the same distance and draw parallel lines all across the shape. The idea being that, you know, this is going to represent the weave, but you can play around with this, by the way. And then when you go to the next shape, what you can do is sort of draw this line entirely, just keep it going like this, because in essence, it is better to think of it this way, like as a full line sort of offsetting the pattern, because, well, it'll give a nice sense of continuity. Because if I were to just draw this one by eye, then it probably wouldn't join to the next one as good, but it would still, you know what I mean? Like, it's a choice. It's a choice that you can make, and then you can find all kinds of little tricks and tips to get it to work. But then what's really cool is that you can go for one, right? So what I mean, you can go at it from one side, from one fold. So what I mean by that I said nothing, is that we can sort of isolate the pattern to a segment. In this case, it would be this segment, or rather, that this segment is fuller. So I fold it onto this minimal triangle, and then here is the sort of the pattern lines. There I can find my cuts. And then here, if I was then to cut at this minimal triangle, when I open it up, then it's going to reveal the weave. Goes there, cuts here, and then this little guy goes there. This guy goes here. This guy goes here. And so we get this thing. And now if I open it up, there's the cutout of the pattern. And this effectively represents a triangle, right? Because we started with a triangle. So now it's just a matter of sort of doing this on one of these and cutting it, and then using these little points that are left over to join it to the next one. That's the idea. So how do we do it? Well, we could just fold one of these on one of them, right? Oh, by the way, I didn't show you the bevel. Like, I might as well show you the bevel effect. So once you have like a cutout of these patterns, what you do is you fold the pattern line that we got, so it would be like that one and that as mountains. Mountains on the side that you want to show, because it's going to sort of protrude from there, right? Protrude, is that even a word? Protrude, it protrudes. I protrude, you protrude, we all protrude. It's not a word. I think it means to sort of come out of. It protrudes, right? I don't even know. Saying it a lot doesn't make it a word. Or does it? And then once you join these mountains, when you fold the mountains, you're going to see that they naturally intersect, but because there's an empty space at the region between the folds, it's a lot easier for this thing to collapse without crashing, because if it wasn't for the empty spaces, the paper itself would not be able to bend in this way, because it would require some kind of cut or some kind of elimination here, because it can't sink because it's all tied together. But when you untie the paper, when you give it a little freedom to do this kinds of things, then it kind of coils and it does these weird little effects. It kind of like does little, like, you know, it crumples. And it becomes naturally 3D, like I can, you know, maybe you can tell. But those shadows on the back, you know, they are because this thing is sort of in the air. It's not flat. And it's not flat because of the height acquired by the fold. And it acquires this height through this compression of space, which is possible because of the elimination of these little spaces. So now I have to apply this solution. Actually looks pretty beautiful. Like this is amazing, isn't it? So you have options, right? You can either make many of these in a single triangle and sort of join them together in ways that you're familiar with of joining triangles, or you can make it into a structure that's triangular in nature, like this tetrahedral net, and from here sort of develop and evolve, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try with my mind, in my mind's eye, to only solve for this pattern in one sense. Once I have the solution in one of these triangles, I will fold it onto the others using overlaps. Once it's all folded, I will draw out the offset, I will cut it, and then I will join it together using Scotch tape. And I'm going to do it in real time. This sucks because I know that if it shows that the video is long, people are going to think that it's more complicated than it is. But I just got to be honest with you guys. Like I'm not good at organizing myself in my time, so I'm just going to do it real time. One shot. That's all you need. It will be useful though to inscribe the fold, like the symmetry. So you're going to see my point. I'm going to try and just focus on this little triangle though. There's so many things that I want to touch on, but I'm not going to at the moment. Well, there are some things that I do need to fold in. I'm going to need to fold in this preliminary fold on the whole triangle because it still works. Like this is still going to be stretching over all of them. I might as well just fold at least the 6-fold division on all of them, like these. Notice that this is exactly the reference that made the first pattern. You know, you see the hexagon. The implication is that within the pattern is the same pattern once more. You just need to find the next or sort of the next level, how it subdivides. And what's also very beautiful, once you're using a structure with several units, like in this case, because now we have 4 units in this one, you're going to see a lot of relationships come up between the different spaces. And it's not something that's obvious or perceivable when you're working with a single little tile. So this can actually be sort of, it's not a misdirect per se, but it will sort of not show you the full extent of these things. But it's fine, it's not a hit on it, you know, it's not to knock on it or nothing. I'm going to turn it over, right, so that all my folds are mountains, because for me, it's easier to fold or bisect when I'm working with mountains. Look at that. I'm going to zoom in a little bit here. So I have this mountain, and I'm going to sort of just push it, and I'm going to do a little bisection there, you see? So I'm folding on this. It's almost as if I could select both of this. I call it selecting by getting one mountain in and getting the other mountain in, and so that's selecting. I have selected these 2 mountains. And then I sort of push on them like this. Little valley thing goes within. You see? And when I open it up, there's my bisection. Now, where I don't need to do the full thing, like I don't need to get all of my divisions in as I did before, because one of these, oh look at that too. This is what I mean by the full structure. Because I have more space to contemplate, it's almost as if, wait, I need to zoom out. I can also do it like this. And that works perfectly as a bisection of that angle, right? So if I were to just trace that and trace that, I find the intersection that I need. And I don't need to find it over here. I could, and that would help me sort of orient myself, but I don't need to. It works really well to gain confidence, just to be sure that what you're doing is the right way of doing it, but you don't need to. So you see, as long as I can make this one fall on itself, or rather this point over here fall on this line, right? Like this point at the midpoint of the edge of this unit falling here, then it's gonna work. And when I do this, then over here on my left, you're gonna see that this line could extend. I'm sorry for the rain sounds. Maybe it's relaxing. Maybe it's like, well, I can't hear what he's saying. Or maybe it's my voice whenever I do these kind of weird inflections that to me are pretty comedic. So you see, I've already solved for this one on this side. Even though there's no reference, it's still, the solution extends all the way, right? Could do the same thing over here. I don't need to do the full fold of this 12-fold division. I just need where it intersects where I care, which is going to be there, right? Again, like I should be more prepared. That point. So now I need to fold this point to there, and the solution is going to come up over here. But I'm focusing only on one of these, but allowing for the solution to extend to its neighbors. The last one is going to be this one that falls over here. You can also sort of work around it because you know that the fold is going to go through these 2 points, through this point and this point. So if I just were to join a line between these two, that would also work like that. That's one way of doing it. And I'm going to. Just sort of noticing where the divisions are, you know, that's one way. And the other way would be to actually get the division, which would be this one. At least this is one of them. So that gives me my landing site, and I can land on it. There we go. And then I get this one. Again, a nice extension here. So what I'm focusing in my attention on is to getting the little hexagon. Let me actually get a good marker. Let's see, one of these has to work. No. No, wow. And, oh yeah, the last one, of course. Wow, it's not either. Jesus. By the way, when you're drawing on the full thing, do not keep this line drawing after the triangle. That's where it stops. This is where that line stops. So I have this thing, right? Sorry for the unnecessary rotations. It is a transformation. It's not like it's the same thing. I can't just say like, well, it's the same. Blah, blah, blah. A transformation is when you rotate it. So what are you gonna do? Anyway, I know that the next point is getting this midpoint to land here, which is a corner of this triangle, right? This corner. This corner to land at the midpoint, to land here. That's the fold I need. That's the fold I'm getting. But when I do it in the full extent, you're going to see that actually that sort of has an implication, or this extension of over here. You can see that this corner is landing at the midpoint of this dude. So that works really well. Again, like this is the kind of thing that is enticing. You can also do it like this fold is going to have to fold here. All these are full folds, by the way. Again, falling on the midpoint over there. And that does it real nice. So I must assume that the next ones are going to be the same. So one's going to be like that, and then the other one, well, the corner ones are going to be like here and here. And this is the last one for this one. All right. As long as you draw the hexagons, then, well, it's actually hexagrams. You're gonna see this as the pattern sort of extends. Because this line does keep going, but it stops here. Like this line with the pattern was gonna go on and hit there. But this one is gonna hit and sort of bounce off. It's hard to explain if you're not familiar with the Islamic patterns. At least, see, the thing is, like, you could be familiar with Islamic patterns, but the way that I think about them is not usually the way that other people think about them. Because I do not approach it through the composite straight edge method, I just approach it through this folding method, which to some extent is an extension of the composite straight edge, or backwards. See, because we're not working with the inner logic of a tool. This is the phenomena of space itself, right? This is somehow like part of the beauty of mathematics, that it's embedded into the way that things are, not the way that things seem, if that makes sense. It doesn't make sense, but whatever. So what I meant before was that now we have this pattern, I have it on that side, so what I can do next is fold everything back to it, like this, you know? So everything is underneath this one triangle. And I can do this in a sort of a procedural process, right? I can do it like all at once, like just have everything be folded like this and just fold the thing, right? Like here, fold all the lines, fold this, fold that, fold this, fold that, fold all of them. And that would just overlap and extend to the rest, or take it one by one. I could just fold into the center, and then I find that I don't have this line, so I can fold that one in like this one. And it's gonna do a little matching, like it's gonna fall where the other line was extending, so that's kind of neat. And then I can unfold to give it more extension, and I can see that that actually has a landing side, so that's nice. I can also do a little trick called the mirror move, which is just being aware of where the lines are meeting or crashing, and sort of where they bounce off. I like to pronounce bounce off in this weird accent, bounce off. It's bouncing off towards infinity. English not being my first language, it's sort of very interesting to play with the accent, because I find that it's gonna be made up anyway, right? I could sound like a complete foreigner, and the reason why I sound the way I sound when I speak English is because I spent a lot of my childhood imitating movies and trying to, you know, imitate music. And why was I imitating movies and music? Because I had a hard time making friends. And I thought that if I learned the quotes from the movies that everybody liked and that I liked, maybe then I would get friends because I'd be cool. And it worked to some extent, but then I found that what's really cool is when you don't care about being cool. That's the coolest. Like when you're just you. Like being you yourself is the coolest thing that you can be. So when you're trying to be something just to please other people, then that's not cool anymore. You dig? But who am I to tell you what's cool? I'm not cool, so you know. What do I know? Dig? See my point? Alright, so that pretty much solves it there also. Like I have the pattern there as well. I guess I could draw it in, why not? Just, again, try to keep it in the pocket. Again, very nice to see how this thing matches. For instance, you can see that I folded there. If I fold this, it lands exactly on that line. Isn't that, and it makes sense because it's sort of just a little bounce that it's doing. So again, when you have more space to work on the pattern, you get to see how it's interacting across the space it inhabits, which is also like a very cool, not cool, I want to stop saying that word today. It's a very neat thing. right? So you get to see how this thing is like an interaction of these hexagons and hexagram patterns. This is a very long video. I'm sorry, you guys. I know that you want to see how this thing results. But the thing about origami and Islamic patterns is that it takes time. Of course, I could edit the video and cut it down for you so you don't have to watch me do these little repetitive little moves. Besides, like, I guess I could cut it down because this is all progress and just... Some people get a kick out of watching other people do things, and other people are like, yeah, just push through it. And I don't blame you. So if you are pushing through it, it's okay, it's alright. Subscribe. I'm kidding. Maybe you're already subscribed, maybe you're not. But I don't care. Because I don't make a living from this video stuff. But boy, wouldn't it be nice. I'm kidding. So here's a little tip and trick. Notice, and once I have the center done, oh, it just so happens that the midpoint of the edge lands exactly at the corner of the inner triangle of the 12-fold thing that's sort of occurring there. Ain't that neat? So once I have the center one, then everything can just sort of revolve around it. Just landing there, landed there, and then this one becomes, oh, would you look at that? It lands exactly there. Let's just verify. Boom, it does. You see that? Like, that's a cool thing about having this full extension, that I guess it would have been a better idea to start from the center, noting how everything just sort of lines up to it real nice. So that pretty much gets me the whole pattern, dude. Like that's the whole pattern. Where's the mark? There it is. No wonder why these things finish off. I leave them uncapped. So this pattern is pretty much present everywhere. Like, it's one of the more natural patterns to occur in the Islamic pattern world. You can find this in Spain, you can find this in Iran, you can find this in India, you can find this in the United States, you can find this in my desk, right? In your desk now, right? So, alright, so I've been thinking about how to approach this better, and the solution that came to mind was, well, before I cut it, I could like preemptively staple it, or not staple, like put a little tape here, and then that would work. But I think that the best approach to this is just get the minimal triangle and cut as many as possible from a single cut, right? So the minimal triangle is going to be this one, goes back, goes back, goes back. You see, it's going to be pretty thick. So to avoid thickness, instead of going for the minimal triangle, I'm simply going to go for the triangle itself. Just like boom, and then boom, and then boom. And this is what I'm going to cut. I guess I'm tempted to just fold this in half, but I fear, or well, there are ways. Let's find a better way. There has to be a better way. What if I do this, and then I do this, and this one comes in? So what I'm thinking of is, how do I get it as, oh, okay, here's a nice idea. I'm gonna fold all these, right? So the one goes from the center to my, if I orient it like this, the one goes from the center to the left, center to the left, and center to the left. Again, I apologize for the rain sounds. Of all the days that I chose to do a video, of course it's the day with the rain. The last bit, the last thing, you can just tuck inside of there. So everything is underneath this now. So I'm just gonna draw the offset on this thing now. Oh wait, I need to start from the center triangle, because then if I do the true weave, like how you usually find this weave, is starting from the center. Like the distance from the edge of the pattern to the center, that's the weave distance. So that it's almost like it's like really, really tightly screwed around the center there. And again, I'm just sort of playing with it. I'm not extending the lines as I should. Oh, I'm just gonna like there. Extending the lines, extending the lines, extending the lines, goes here. Draw the full hexagon in the offset, sort of going through the pattern lines. extending the center triangle all the way. You see that? Extending this triangle all of the way. And then doing the little offset on it, just finding where this thing is, and then you can use the intersections of the radials when this line hits to find the rest of the references. That's usually how I do it. You have to make sure that each like pattern line, like the black pattern line, has 2 on each side. So 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. Done. Okay, let's cut this bad boy. It's probably going to be like a 40-minute video at this point. So if you stuck it through, like through hearing me and watching me, I thank you. I guess I should plug the Patreon. If you want to support me keeping doing these videos, there's a Patreon that I have. There's a bunch of stuff from years ago. I'm gonna try and redo, reinterpret a lot of these designs, see where we get with them. But if you want to help me make more, you can do that to support me. And you bet your sweet patush that we're gonna try our best. I like to go from the outside in. By the way, you gotta be very careful with your fingers. Your fingers are the moneymaker. So always, always, always be aware of where your fingers are. Do not lose sight of your fingers. Okay, so we've done that. Cool. So now I guess we can do away with this a little bit. Let's do some unfold. This should actually look pretty cool. Let's see how it looks. No way, this thing's running out of battery already? How much time do we have left? Oh my goodness, it's gonna die. Like I might, what the fuck me. Oh no, bad words. I need to go get the charger because otherwise this thing is not gonna fly. Okay. got that. Okay, good. Okay, we got some battery on this thing now, so it's still going down. Damn. Yeah, so I guess I better hurry up, eh? It's funny when it just makes sense, right? Like this thing is like doing its very, very best. I'll close the browser, get some CPU on my side. Okay, so I'm gonna need 3 of these. 1, 2 and 3. And well, yeah, I'm gonna put this somewhere that I can use them later because I need to bevel them first. Okay. Yeah, so I need to do this little trickery, By the way, I want you to think for a moment of what other kinds of structures need, require, or use triangles. So, you know, we can make like a whole infinite flat space just with triangles, just getting them, they're going to join in 6, effectively making these stars look like 12 points, 12 pointed stars, etc. But then there's also the solids, right? The 3D shapes, the one we're doing now. Like the tetrahedron, the octahedron, the icosahedron, and if you get more creative and combine them, you can also have like the snub cube or the cube octahedron, right? Or even the icosadodecahedron, although that one would not pertain to this kinds of symmetries because 5ness does not allow for 12. Because 4 does allow for 12 because 4 can multiply to be 12. So here I'm finding out that actually it would have been nice to fold all of the radial lines because they are needed. As I fold this, like for instance here at this point, I have these 2 mountains but no valley that goes between them, and I'm sort of artificially adding that onto it like this. And as much as it looks like kind of crumpled, it still works, but it's also something that I could have done preemptively. So before you cut, I would suggest to fold the radial line. So I apologize if you were following and you're listening, you're like, why didn't you say this before? This is difficult and I am not good at this trick. And therefore this effort I have done is ruined. I hope that's not the case, I really do. And if it is the case, then I encourage you to give it a try, give it a go. Like do one, like just do the thing, like this little squeeze and let it go. Like it doesn't need you to stay on it, right? So once you have all of them sort of done, then it'll fall into place. But you need to do them like one by one, slowly but surely. Getting to look like this thing. Maybe this is too slow. But also it's kind of like a considerable undertaking what we're doing now. Like it is a nice little project like for Sundays, or where you want to just try something new, you want to contemplate an Islamic pattern, but you want to also appreciate lights and shadows cast upon surfaces of multiple and varying degrees and textures. And this is a perfect exercise for it. Also, I think this is the easiest Islamic pattern to fold. It's one of the easiest. So there are patterns that I call canonical. This is where I go off in tangents. I'll go on a little tangent here with you. There are patterns that I call canonical. The canonical patterns are patterns which are completely embedded into the symmetry of space itself. They are patterns which are natural. They are patterns which are just like intrinsic. They just come with the territory. They're just there. And when you fold them, you get a sense for which ones are just like really there and which ones you actually have to sort of summon. It's almost if you were doing a little spell like in a movie or a video game. You have to do the proper spell. to cast it. And so that, right? But there are some spells, I guess, that maybe some people who are not initiated in the dark arts, or not dark arts, but you know, the magic arts, can do, I guess. Like, I'm thinking of Dragon Ball now, how even if Goku is like an alien who has access to like more abilities and more kind of powers than other of his friends who are human, they all can still fly, because humans in the Dragon Ball world can learn to fly. Like, that's an ability that they can get with if they train enough or whatever. And in some sense, that's like similar. That's not similar at all. That's a very weird metaphor, actually. Anyway, you get this little 3D, so I've beveled it. It looks good. And now what I need to do is just tie it together. So that's where the tape comes in. So I put it here with a little extra left over, and then I just have to match these edges like that. And then reapply the bevel with the tape on it, and the tape will fold also, giving it a sort of a continuation. You see that? I guess we could also tie it around there, but I'm not gonna. It goes here. And that goes there. Again, reapply the fold to get it some continuation on the thing. There we go. And last one. And that'll do it. Like then you just have to sort of, actually it's easier to bevel in this state, I find. Maybe not. I find this a little more stable than when it's loose. But also I'm seeing that how much it would have been useful to have the 12-fold divisions prior, but I find also that it's not completely detrimental for them to be folded in to the system afterwards. And because these corners are 12, now we get them to appreciate them as 6 when they are at that corner. So anyway, so that's how you do it. That's how you get it. An Islamic pattern folded and then turned into a 3D thing, a 3D beveled thing that can sort of, yeah, it's really cool. Like, I really like this, and of course you can join them together, make more kind of structures. I mean, you can't join them together, but like in theory, you can pretty much tile 3D space only with tetrahedrals. So in theory, you could just put them side by side. I guess would be like this. And again, in theory, they should line up. Wait, what? I mean, you know, in theory, but like they're a little too bulgy for my taste to be side by side kind of things. But as lamps, they work really well. Like, as an idea for lamps, you can also structure them in other unconventional ways. That's kind of cool, eh? So anyway, I'll leave you with that. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you had a good time hanging out with me, folding. I'll catch you next time. I'll try to do more of these videos. And, you know, till then, I tip my hat. I thank you for your time. Show me what you did. Tag me on Instagram if you share there, or, you know, let the people know where you got the idea. Let's get more people to fold Islamic patterns and have fun and see what else you can come up with, right? Till next time, a hug, good luck, good vibes, and rock and roll, everybody. See ya.